Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Happy Hump Day. Today is March 13th, 2024. We're here to go over the important news, notes, analysis, economic events that are going on here to make sure that your money's working for you in markets. I'm your host, as always, Adam Holland at Adam Holland Educates. We're here to dive in and get 1% better today. We live in a world where things are changing each and every day, so we want to make sure that we make a little investment into ourselves to stay on top of things. I mean, since even the last market close, we've had tons of crazy headlines. We've got a vote today on whether or not TikTok gets banned. We've got the Boeing whistleblower that was found mysteriously dead of an apparent self-inflicted wound. We've got Meta, who said that they're training their new AI models on NVIDIA's chips. So it's like every single time the bell rings, right? Whether it's the closing bell or the opening bell, there's news that's flooding in, right? News that can affect our positions, affect our money, and affect how it's working for us. So part of this session is making sure that you're on top of all that news, right? Factoring that in, adjusting your positions, or maybe starting new ones, all in the aim of making sure that your money's working for you. So let's go ahead and dive into that. Like I said, we're looking to get 1% better each and every day. That is the goal. You're not ahead of anyone, you're not behind anyone. You're only racing yourself, right? It's only you versus you. So it's not looking left to right, it's looking straight. We've all got different paths, so no one can be ahead of you and no one can be behind you, because in order to do that, they would have to be on the same path, and no one is on the exact same path. So if you are, feeling stressed out or feeling anxious or this and that, remember, you are on your path, right? Don't look left, don't look right. Oh, this person, made 25K doing this, or this person made 50K doing that, and all I did was make a few $100. You're walking your path, right? You are walking your path. So focus on that. And as long as you do, right, you'll continue to get better, continue to make those, incremental level ups. And then eventually you'll look and you'll say, wow, I'm a lot better than I was yesterday, last year, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. And that's something to be super proud of, right? So let's go ahead and dive into what we got going on today. Just mentioned it, but our top news here is against the clock. Efforts to outlaw TikTok in the U.S. are coming in strong and fast. The House of Representatives will vote on a bipartisan bill today that would force Chinese parent firm ByteDance to sell its stake in TikTok's U.S. operations or face a nationwide app store ban from the short form video platform. Note that all American social media networks are blocked in China under national and security policies that are collectively dubbed, quote, the Great Firewall. So for anyone who thinks that this is weird, it's actually really not weird, right? American social networks face, and American big tech in general, face a lot of scrutiny abroad, which is well deserved. Social networks as a whole aren't good for people. That's been proven. It's especially destructive on young minds and developing minds. But I feel like this whole, people might think, oh, it's kind of crazy. We're just banning it because it's from China. Well, China bans pretty much everything from us, on that kind of consumer informational technology standpoint when it comes to things like social media. So it's really not that weird. And the reason why is because data is so powerful, right? Data has been the new gold for the past like 30 years. So it's just like, whoever has the data controls everything, and they have influence on things and stuff like that. And when you just look at even the minor influence that can be held, it ends up being pretty major, right? When you look at like all the stuff that's been popularized off of TikTok and things like that. Yeah, people learn some things, but you can learn things anywhere, right? Go out and freaking open up a book, research the internet. You have ChatGPT now. You can learn about whatever you want. You've got all these different AIs. You don't need TikTok to learn things, especially when it's at the expense of tons and tons and tons of data points going into the hands of an openly hostile, right, entity when it comes to the relations that we have currently with China. So you can kind of see which side of the fence I land on. I'm not a creator also that relies on TikTok. That's not my jam. I don't even know if I have it installed. Like, I'll watch them if people send them to me. But I feel like in terms of stock news, the reason why this is important is because it'll obviously positively affect things like Meta and Google if they are banned, right? And the ban wouldn't be immediate. It's not like suddenly you go onto your phone and TikTok is deleted from the App Store. It still would take like I think a month or two. It would take some time. So it wouldn't be immediate, but this is something that would definitely have an immediate effect on stocks like Meta and Google. So if you're looking for, kind of a fun little lotto and you think that it will pass, right, then calls on Google, calls on Meta are something that you want to take but of course, right, news, right, news can always be finicky. We don't know how a stock will react to certain news, but typically any negative TikTok news, it has been good for Snap, Meta, Google. So Snap, Meta, Google on watch as this vote takes place today, which should be very impactful in this landscape. Now, what are the fears? In recent years, national security risks surrounding data and software have also sparked concerns in the U.S., especially if information can be shared with the Chinese government. There are additional worries that China's ByteDance can use the TikTok algorithm to track and influence users with selective content promoted by Beijing. And it doesn't help that many parents and mental health professionals have warned against the addictive or destructive nature of the platform. It's a big deal as TikTok is one of the most popular apps in the US with an audience of around 150 million users across the country. It's important, right? Very important. And you might say, oh, well, I don't really, I think it's overblown, right? We had kids that were stealing, Kias and Hyundais that still are, right? Stealing Kias, stealing Hyundais, turning into criminals, going on joyrides, accidentally killing each other, right? Riding underneath tractor trailers because they didn't even know how to drive yet and they were stealing cars because it was popularized here. So I get it. You say, okay, that sounds a little bit conspiracy theoristy, but at the end of the day, we already saw what certain social networks effects have on things like elections, right? Facebook played a huge role and they still are culpable for that. But the thing is, at least they can, we can try and hold them accountable. You can't hold TikTok accountable for anything that it does here, right? Facebook clearly influenced past elections. And social media continues to influence elections. So when you have it being an election year, right? You have it being an election year and you have something that, again, 150 million users across the country have this app. So you have it in a year in which we are electing essentially the leader of the free world, right? The leader of the free world, the leader of the West. And we have this platform that is foreign controlled that, has hundreds of millions of people on it. Like that is a national security risk at the end of the day. And it just can't be posed as anything else. Now, will it, is it something that's guaranteed to pass? No, but that's why we wait and see what happens. So a ban won't come easy. Former President Donald Trump already sought to outlaw TikTok or force a sale of its U.S. business to an American company. And while a transaction with Oracle almost went through in 2020, the lawsuits piled up and an injunction was granted to prevent the app from being prohibited. The Biden administration later revoked the planned ban, ordering a national security review in its place, but Chinese tensions and data privacy concerns eventually swept over both sides of the aisle and led to a notable House hearing in March. Since then, Montana's statewide ban on TikTok has been blocked by a federal judge who said the measure, quote, violates the Constitution in more ways than one and oversteps state power. So, what to watch? While the new TikTok legislation is expected to pass the U.S. House, it faces an uphill climb in the Senate, though President Biden has stated he would sign the ban should it reach his desk. Despite this outlook, Biden's reelection campaign is using the platform to reach younger voters, following a notable debut on Super Bowl Sunday. Meanwhile, Trump has reversed his support for a ban, saying it would make, quote, young kids go crazy and empower Facebook, which is Meta, which he considers to be an enemy of the people. So TikTok is set to fight to the legal finish, but should it be forced into a divestiture, Rumble, ticker RUM, has expressed interest, and rivals like YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels might also be watching the latest developments. So that's what we talked about, right? YouTube's owned by Google. That's why Google would benefit from this, and then Meta, of course, with Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. That's funny that Rumble expressed interest. It's like, dude, I feel like that is way above your head, my good man. But yeah, so you got Trump flip-flopping. That might be, it probably is with an aim of saying, hey, I actually support TikTok, right? I actually support China, right? All that stuff. He's saying, hey, maybe if this ban doesn't go through, maybe you want to exchange that support and also support me, right? At the end of the day, he and every other politician is going to do what allows them to stay in office, stay in power for as long as possible. And I don't think that any tension that we have with actors like China or anything like that would keep them from utilizing anything they can to regain election. So yeah, Trump was the one who led that fight, and now he's walking that back. So again, any commentary made by me isn't toward one, candidate or political party. It's just commentary on politics as a whole, which we know is just funny and messy and just pretty ridiculous. But in terms of economic news here, shrugging it off, Wall Street on Tuesday ended solidly higher after the latest consumer inflation report did little to alter market expectations of interest rates cuts. This is exactly what we talked about, right? Data can come in hot. We talked about this yesterday. Data can come in hot and worse than expected, and it does absolutely nothing when it comes to market movement for that day. And that's what happened yesterday. CPI data came in higher than expected. Somebody might look at that and say, "Oh, inflation is back up. That means the Fed has to, push the rate cuts back further, and the market's going to hate it. It's going to drop." Market didn't, right? We reached new consecutive all-time highs again. So it's just very important to always make sure that you're understanding that it's how the market reacts. News itself does not matter, right? It's how the market reacts to the news that we get. Now, it's not to say that we're out of the woods yet. We're in this kind of ascending parallel channel on SPY where we're bleeding up, right? And we're kind of at the top of that channel. So we'll see if we test the top of that channel and then reject it, we could definitely turn around and head lower. We'll see how SPY interacts up in this 518 area. If it can get up there, 518 to 518.20, right? And if we do get up there and we reject, could make for some nice put money as we ride that back down to the bottom of this channel to roughly 511, right? So in between those areas, we just kind of chop and we're stuck chopping around. We don't get any major data again until tomorrow. I wonder if the market will chop us around until then or not. But we could, chop around up at the top of this level. And then once we get the PPI data, we reject the top of the channel and then we fall down. So it'll be interesting to see, what we end up getting here. But a number of different possibilities as we continue to chug higher for now. Let's see. Okay. The consumer price index advanced 0.4% month over month in February, as expected, and slightly accelerated from January's 0.3% rise. Core CPI, which excludes food and energy, rose 0.4% month over month, a tad higher than the anticipated figure of 0.3%. Investing group leader James Kostoris, I think it's James Kostoris, believes the Fed needs to shelve consideration of rate cuts as, quote, the risk of a reacceleration of inflation is very much on the table. While Citadel's Ken Griffin also warned of prices remaining elevated in the future, saying the Fed shouldn't cut too quickly. All that being said, the bank program did end this week. So I expect we see some type of mobilization soon. These banks might be able to hold off for a bit, but there's no way they can pay off the loans that they own the Fed. The Fed gave them to bail them out to keep them from following Silicon Valley Bank's footsteps. There's no way that they continue to do that without any type of support. So we'll either see some type of stopgap measure that's put into place in order to keep them afloat, or we see rates drop sooner rather than later. So for everybody who's like, oh, they might not drop this year, right? We'll see, but these banks cannot keep it up. In terms of aviation news, MAX fallout as Boeing's quality issues escalate. Major airlines are now scaling back their plane delivery expectations or even considering switching suppliers. I mean, if I'm Airbus right now, I'm sitting back and just laughing because Boeing is literally crashing and burning. Boeing aircraft have been involved in back-to-back safety mishaps, the latest being a fuel leakage incident aboard a United Airlines flight on Monday. This week, United has already asked Boeing to stop building 737 MAX 10s as it eyes switching to Airbus, while Delta Air is preparing for a 2-year delay in MAX 10 deliveries. Problems at Boeing have additionally impacted Southwest, whose ticker is Love, whose shares slid 15% on Tuesday after updating capacity growth expectations. And they did not even comment on the fact that the Boeing whistleblower was found dead yesterday in the middle of a trial, right? In the middle of a literal investigation. This guy turns up dead. Like this is like something off of like the Blacklist or like a TV show. This is what you hear about, and it's happening. And right now, Boeing's got nothing positive going for them. So yeah, that's where we're at with things. If that gives you any inclination as to my position on them. In terms of dividends, shareholder payouts, dividend payments to shareholders worldwide reached a record $1.66 trillion last year, up 5.6% year over year, according to a new report by asset manager Janus Henderson. Let's see, what are we doing? Okay. Walmart moving a little bit. So, quote, pessimism over the global economy provided ill-founded in 2023. And although the outlook is uncertain, dividends are well supported, said Ben Lofthouse, head of global equity income. Banks took the lead in shareholder payouts as their profits grew amid higher interest rates, although its positive impact was almost entirely offset by cuts in the mining sector. Banking giants, including heavyweights like JP Morgan and Wells Fargo, raised their dividends last year after clearing the Fed's annual stress test. Now, in terms of today's markets here, mostly green, but to be honest, everything was flat. So I didn't know. Yeah, it's really just flat. So I won't even go over that. S&P is pretty much right where we opened yesterday or closed yesterday. Today's economic calendar, nothing very important coming out. So we'll finish up with our rapid fire stock news rundown. CME, ticker CME, files application to start clearing U.S. Treasuries. Inflation rises. Gold turns lower after 9 days of record gains. Super weird, right? It's weird the whole way. So inflation is hot, market goes up, gold goes down, right? It's like not all the time does logic explain things, and that's why technicals are so important. Um, let's see here. Pentagon to give Ukraine new arms despite overdrawn stockpile. Another day, another billion sent to Ukraine. Biden seeks $895 billion for defense spending amid global conflicts. Latest numbers: U.S. federal budget deficit balloons in February. IBM, ticker IBM, reduces staff in marketing and communications division. Learn AI. Put your money to work for you. Things that you should be working toward each and every week, right? If not every day. Like these are major companies nonstop. Reduces staff in marketing and communications, HR departments, right? It's like every department at all of these different companies, they're laying people off, and that is only going to continue moving forward. So again, is it a reason to be scared? No. Is it a reason to be active? Yes, right? Definitely a reason to be active. And if you aren't active with AI or anything like that, send me a message. Let me know. I've had some of you like reach out to me already. Send me a message. Let me know. I'll gauge interest, and then we can see about maybe getting something set up for that. But just don't let the overwhelming amount of information out there stop you from learning things, right, and getting going. Because again, this is something that will only accelerate. It's not going away. Now it's every day we're seeing news of more layoffs. EIA boosts 2024 domestic crude oil production growth forecast. FTC trial to block Kroger's and Albertsons deal set for August. Another deal biting the dust. That's the norm now. Pentagon reportedly ends plan for $2.5 billion grant to Intel. That ain't good. And then Japan wage talks. Toyota, ticker TM, agrees to meet all union demands. So more unionization as that trend continues, right? And workers try and fight for their rights in the midst of a very, very intensely shifting labor market. But that'll wrap us up here for us today, Wednesday, March 13th, 2024. Let's have a great day, everybody. That's all I got to say. Put one foot in front of the other. Make sure that you're focused on you, your lane, nobody else's. And let's continue to push forward together. Everybody have a great rest of the day. I'll see you back here tomorrow for our next Premarket Prep session. Peace.